Hi everyone, I'm Myleah. I'm currently the social media manager at Game Devs of Color Expo, but I'm also working as the social media manager at Anima Interactive, which is currently working on Take Us North. Our Kickstarter is coming soon. But yeah, I've worked across the games industry for the last 5 or so years. And it's been a lot of fun. I've always been interested in storytelling. My background is in broadcast journalism and government and politics. And I came into that career kind of during a tumultuous time. And so I decided that I wanted to do storytelling in a different route. And game storytelling was just what interested me the most. And I'd always been passionate about games. And Sushi Ben, I worked on the team at Big Brain Studios. We launched that last year, and the non-VR version is coming out soon. So yeah, it's been really great working in like community management and social media, but also been a very interesting time trying to figure out exactly what social media all the people are social mediaing on. So. And yeah, I also published 3 independent projects, fan games, 2 visual novels, and an RPG Maker game recently in the last few years. So, yeah.
Fun trailers that will have sound this time.
このちょっと傷んで危うい匂いのするマグロをぶつけますよ。ちょっとそこのあんたたち、私のウィッグコレクションを返しなさい。
寿の漁場、通称青蛇のアギトだ。
あんただな、カモメギャング団の縄張りを荒らしてるよそ者ってのは。クソがはっさてめえ。
So Sushi Ben was really fun to work on because that was like a VR game, and I hadn't like worked in marketing for VR, and so that's just been like, that was just really interesting. And then the other project that I'll show is Take Us North, which I'll let it play first.
If you want a shot at making it, you have to think about this like it's an adventure. Crossing the Sonoran Desert. She's unforgiving. She may trick you with her beauty, but amongst these sands, she's the biggest beast of them all. You will find La Migra swirling above you.
だけど最近熱心に買い取っている不動産屋さんがいるみたい。
Japanese in this Spanish.
Listen. If you want a shot at making it, you have to think about this like it's an adventure. Crossing the Sonoran Desert. She's unforgiving. She may trick you with her beauty, but amongst these sands, she's the biggest beast of them all. You will find La Migra swirling above you, cutting through the sky with her blades. Avoid detection at all costs. We've all given up so much already, but the sacrifices will not stop here. Fascinating, isn't it? How far our hearts will go for a chance at una vida mejor. Are you ready?
So yeah, two very different tones of games, and also just a topic that's very, very important right now. And so marketing that's been really interesting as well. So we'll talk more about that when we get to it.
Alrighty, now it's for me and my cat August, who's up there in the corner. Hello, my name is Adanna Ned. I'm a games writer, narrative designer, and games researcher. I've been doing games writing and narrative design for 4 years and games research for about 7 years, so it's been a long, fun journey. I actually started games research because I was like, well, I don't really like programming, but I still want to do things in games. So I'm going to research how players interact in virtual spaces, specifically how they use in-game skins to personify themselves, and if players of color spend more money to get more skins that look like them. And what we found out in that research, we did a big survey, had 158 responses, was really fun to go through, and then okay. Yeah, so, and then what we found from our research project was, from the results, we found that a lot of players, instead of trying to look like themselves in virtual spaces, they actually go very on aesthetic preferences. So if there's like a skin that chooses like certain Halloween, if it looks like Santa and they really like Christmas, those are the skins they're going to go for instead of things that make them look like themselves in real life. However, the majority of players also agreed that there need to be more diverse representational options in games. And some of the games I've worked on include Spirit Swap, Lo-Fi Beats to Match 3-2, Kiss You, which a little birdie told me has a brand new demo right here at MAGFest in the Indie Alley, so definitely check that out after this. And also an independent RPG I'm working on called Ajae'sha's Odyssey. But first, I wanted to show off the trailer for Spirit Swap because it releases in 10 days at February 3rd on Steam. So feel free to download it, wishlist it, tell your friends, tell your family too, tell everyone. Let me go up here for our trailer. Turn
Yalla, Habibi. Let's get swapping.
Spirit Swap, Lo-Fi Beats to Match 3-2.
It is coming February 3rd on Steam. So if you like puzzle games like Tetris, Panel de Pon, all that fun stuff, feel free to check it out. And we also have a free demo on Steam that you can play right now. So even if you don't like puzzle games, you can try it out right now. Yes, Puyo Puyo, yes.
All right, hello, I'm Ajae'sha Williams, and I'm a Senior Quality Assurance Tester 2 at id Software. I also served in the United States Army from 2013 to 2019, so I did 6 years in the Army, which led me to Texas, where I ended up going to work at id Software. So my first game, I came in at the end of Doom Eternal, getting ready for release. It ended up releasing in 2020. I came in 2019. Started off as a contractor and ended up joining the team and being able to have a title released under my belt before I graduated from college, actually. So that was pretty awesome to do. And then I also helped out with Quake Champions, some of the updates, and then I've also helped out with Starfield. And I do have I don't have a trailer, I have gameplay from yesterday's Xbox Dev Direct. So the gameplay trailer, unfortunately, we couldn't get that in here because you gotta log in and have be over 18 for that, which we all are, but yeah, YouTube wouldn't let us log in, so we just got gameplay from yesterday's Dev Direct.
Is that?
And last but certainly not least,
Hello everyone, my name is Tiereney Omer. I am a functional QA tester at Activision Publishing. I have been there for 3 years. I started on Call of Duty Vanguard, which released in 2021. I had to remember the yearly releases. With that, I have done Call of Duty Vanguard, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and more recently, Black Ops 6. I also am a part of the Black and Gaming Foundation as well. We also have the trailer for Black Ops 6, which is now available.
Nothing is what it seems. Some you should see. Time we had a chat.
Are you out of your mind?
Turn it off! But if it's truth you seek, look in the dark.
nope, I didn't mean to replay it. But that's all the trailers. That means we can stay in the presentation. So now this is going to lead us to our questions. We have a few predetermined questions, then we will open up the floor to audience Q&A. Because some of us are under NDAs, we're going to block, if we want to block any questions, we will. Unfortunately, can't answer everything, but let's begin. And firstly, and we can start from the other end with Tiereney, how did you discover that you wanted to be in the gaming industry?
So I actually did not realize at first that I wanted to be in the gaming industry at all. I did not realize that that was an option for me until I realized that I can just make that opportunity for myself. I also grew up with very supportive parents who are also very much into, nerdy hobbies. They're blurs. But with that, I think with knowing that I wanted to see games that not only I wanted to enjoy, but also people that looked like me and that people could relate to and connect with. I think that's what very much made me discover that I wanted to be in the gaming industry.
That was so professionally said. I'm not gonna be that professional. So like I was a child. I played SoCal. At first, didn't really like games actually as a child. Then I saw my sister playing video games, and I wanted to beat my sister at Soul Calibur. So I started playing Soul Calibur 2. And I was like, hey, Dad, I think I want to make games for a living at the age of like 6 or 7. And my dad said, I believe in you, child. And since then, he's been like watching GDC with me. We watch E3 together. We watch PAX together. And he really got me in like looking at all the dev stuff. So at a young age, I had a very supportive father who like really got me into all the dev stuff. Then I was 18, about to go to college, and my dad said, what do you want to do? I said, I still want to make games. He's like, okay, how do you do that? And I was like, I don't know. So then I used the great thing called Google, which is now the company my company's we're under. And I was like, okay, Google, how do I get into the game industry? Program. All right, so I got a computer science degree, found a computer science in game programming degree path at my local school. I was like, cool. So I got a computer science degree, and now I'm like, oh, the industry is not in my small town. So I'm gonna get an IT job and just make games on the sides. IT job, make game on the side. Eventually got applied to game dev jobs that were remote because of the pandemic. And then got noticed by Owlchemy Labs. And I was like, oh my God, you guys want me as a programmer? And they're like, yeah. So that's how I got into the industry. Told you it wasn't gonna be as professional.
You made it more personable.
Yeah.
For me, I have 2 older brothers. They're both 6 and 8 years older than me. So I got introduced into gaming fairly early. playing all the games that I should not have been playing, like Mortal Kombat and everything like that. Absolutely. And then, of course, some of the kiddie games, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario, stuff like that. And then I just got really interested in art, and I got interested in, like, creative writing. So I was like, I think this is something I'm interested in, but I just didn't know if it was something I could do. So later on in life, when I went to high school, I ended up finding out that we could go to, like, this place called a career center. I'm initially from Michigan, but I stay in Texas now due to my job. So, but when I was in Michigan, we had that opportunity to go to the community college that was local and go there for half a day and learn some courses there. So I ended up taking the game design course, and I was like, this is it. So I decided to go to Eastern Michigan University for a little bit, and then during that time frame was when I decided to go ahead and join the military. So I did drop early, and then I ended up going to Full Sail while I was still in the Army at the time, and I ended up getting my degree online. Ended up having to drop and go back a few times there too, but we got it figured out after I finished up my contract in the Army. But yeah, so then from that point, tried play testing, and then I ended up sneaking my way into QA, and I've been there ever since. So that's 5 years of me being there.
Similar to AJ, I also played a lot of video games with my cousins, a lot of Kingdom Hearts, a lot of Sonic, hence the fit in the ears. And then from there, I was always interested in IT, so I also got an IT degree at Penn State because I was like, well, even if I can't get into games, at least if I can program, I can get adjacent. And while I was there, I joined a research fellowship at the University of Pittsburgh called the iSchool Inclusion Institute, and then I learned games research exists. There are people that actually research games and how people interact with them. So I was able to do a really cool research project on how players of color interact in virtual environments. And then I learned that during the 2020, I learned that writing for games is actually a job that you can have and do. And I was like, hey, I like writing and I like games, so I should try doing that. So after creating a portfolio, getting a lot of support like organizations from POC in Play, Sweet Baby Inc., and of course Black in Gaming, I was able to get my first games writing credit, which was on Recommendation Dog, a game for the Playdate, and then I started writing for Spirit Swap right after in 2021, and now 4 years later, we're releasing in like 10 days. It's wild, but it's been a fun ride.
So I kind of touched on this in my intro, but I had a background in broadcast, and I went through my entire college career thinking that I was going to do that. My dream was to become the next Anderson Cooper, and then I went into the real world, and I was like, why am I making $15 an hour as a reporter? That's kind of crazy. And also, it was just, I realized that it wasn't exactly the kind of storytelling that I wanted to do. And so I started looking into more other communications kind of jobs, so social media, community management, and I started working at like a nonprofit doing social media and community management. And then I learned that doing that for games was a thing that you could do. And I didn't have any opportunities in high school to like do any computer science or even learn about games programming. So all of that was very new to me post-college. And so that's why I think that it's really important to help people get access to games education and learning how to make games at an early age, because I feel like if I knew that those things existed, then I would have wanted to like go down that path. And so my first role was actually working in game dev education for marginalized people at Code Coven. And so I helped people get into games through that organization. And from there, I've continued to do more social media and community management. So yeah, I discovered kind of late on, I feel like, in life, but I'm excited that I'm here now.
Our next question is, how did you get into your current industry job? I'm going to let anyone who wants to start. Okay, everyone's looking at me, so I'll start. So with Spirit Swap currently, it was actually really funny because I backed the project on Kickstarter. I got really involved in like the Discord because I really liked the characters, and I also really liked seeing a game where it had people that looked like me not only being playable but also as like options of romantic and people that are attractive, and seeing that and getting really involved. And then they were like, hey, we're looking for a writer, and we looked at your portfolio and we think you'd be a good fit. I was like, me? But then I was able to get it, and I wrote a lot of fun stuff, so definitely feel free to check it out. And
So for me, I kind of mentioned it, but for me, I was finishing up my term in the Army. I had switched over to the National Guard for the remainder of my contract, and I was also working a full-time position at a content moderation for social media company while I was finishing up my National Guard contract. However, I found a playtesting job at id Software, and I applied, and I ended up getting a call that I got it. So I was like, oh, okay. And it was only a 5-day gig. It's $10 an hour. And I had a lot of high hopes for myself because I had the game design degree going on, was getting ready to finish that up within the next year. And I didn't have enough PTO to take off from my job at the time. I was like, I'm gonna just quit. Like, maybe they'll take me, hopefully. And that wasn't the case. So I ended up going there, did the 5-day job, and the people from user research were like, yeah, we don't hire playtesters. I was like, oh, well, I guess I gotta finish up a National Guard contract and hope that some positions open up. Thankfully, within a month, I just had no full-time job. I still had the military at, the end of my military contract. And I was able to apply for a contract QA position and ended up getting a call back from them. And they also were like, hey, you did so well during playtesting. The user research group actually said that they recommended you. I said, okay, cool, awesome. So ended up doing my playtesting position, went from contractor to full-time. Right after Eternal came out, they gave me full-time. And then I've gotten promoted up to seniors, from QA tester up to senior 1 to senior 2. So that's how I got there.
So, I worked at a little mom and shop pizza parlor called Pizza Hut. While I was working there, if you know about Pizza Hut, not the greatest place in the world. So I did not like it, and what is now the defunct Facebook Careers found a job for QA, and I was like, I can do this, I think. And I initially interviewed for Blizzard, and they were like, you don't have enough experience. And I was like, that's great, thank you so much. And they were like, Activision will train you. And I was like, oh, okay. And within a week, I got hired. I was on contract for about 9 months until the decision to make all QA full-time came out. So then everyone became full-time, and I've just been there ever since.
Everyone made it sound so professional. Here I am going to make it super personal. So I was in IT, making games on the side, and then I started going to SCAG for my degree, which I'll be graduating in May this year. Woo! Yeah, I'll get my master's in game design. So I was all like, I'm never going to get in the game industry. I live in a small town in Alabama. That's unrealistic thinking, Valencia. So we're going to keep making games on the side and doing all these other gaming events. So I went to Xbox Game Camp, and my mentor's like, hey, Valencia, you're like working full-time, going to school full-time, doing Xbox Game Camp. You want to like apply to a game dev job? And I was like, nah, because I don't think I can make it. And she's all like, you have 7 games on itch.io. And I was like, yeah, people out here with a resume and a dream, if you do not apply for game dev jobs, Valencia. So I started applying to game dev jobs. So my mentor was very, very pushy, both of them. Very pushy. So I started applying to game jobs, applied to Bungie because I saw the Bungie thing at the Game Devs of Color Expo, which was awesome. I interviewed and I didn't get it. And in my sadness, I'm in the very depression, I applied for Owlchemy Labs. I never heard that studio before. They were just an random Indeed page. So I just applied randomly, and then one day I got a call, and they're like, oh my God, you applied. And I was like, I don't remember applying. But you did. And I was like, okay. And I got an interview, and the rest is history.
So I was originally brought on at Anima Interactive to do community management for a game jam, which was focused on climate change and social justice. And then after that game jam, I was asked to stay on to help manage the upcoming game, Take Us North. And Yeah, so the studio director I actually worked with at a previous organization, and she really liked how I worked on the community management and social media, and so she kept me. So once she branched off and created her own studio, she invited me. So sometimes it really is who you know. A lot of the times in the industry.
I actually want to comment on the who do you know you part. It is who you know, because I worked in so many organizations before I got hired. Like 3 people at the company I work at now knew who I was before I actually worked there. So it truly is who you know.
This leads to our next question. What was your favorite game to work on? And I'm going to start with Myleah, since we haven't started from this side yet.
My favorite game to work on, I feel like we just kind of started with the marketing for Take Us North. So far I've only worked on Sushi Ben. That was just really fun. Hatoful Boyfriend is one of my favorite visual novels, and so getting to work with the writer of Hatoful Boyfriend was just like really amazing. And getting to market their game was really cool. And VR was something very new for me. I didn't even have like a Quest at that point. I went out and got a Quest so I could play test and really immerse myself in the game and understand how it plays. And because it's like, I want to be able to tell everyone what the best parts of this game are because I played it and because I'm the target audience for this game. And I very much love like manga and anime, and so that game was really up my alley. And so it was very easy to market and connect with the community. So I think so far, even though it's one of the first ones, is my favorite.
For me, my favorite game to work on has been Spirit Swap. It's just been an amazing experience from start to finish, especially with because since it was a smaller indie team, it allowed me to go out of my discipline a bit as a writer, because I was working with artists to help design characters. I was also giving feedback during some of the voice acting sessions, which was really cool. So being able to also do that, work with programmers to workshop different abilities that the player might have, and just play testing and seeing all of the different ways you can incorporate writing into a game and character into a game was a really, really great experience.
For me, it's tough to say. I feel like I learned so much from every single game that I've worked on. I will say Doom Eternal is like my baby though, more so because it's the first game I worked on. I didn't know if I was gonna stay full time. I didn't know if I was gonna just get the boot after we released the game, and so I will say Doom Eternal is my baby. But I take everything from each game. Going from Doom Eternal to Starfield was kind of crazy for me. Going from a linear shooter to going to this massive open world game was crazy, but I enjoyed my time there as well. I learned a lot. I had to kind of be patient because I wasn't used to playing games like that, but I also, I put some quality work into it, so I'm proud of all that for sure. Even with Quake Champions, it's a older base game, but with Quake Champions, being able to come in there and help with any of the updates that we have still going on for that game, just being able to experience different types of games has been awesome. So that's what I will say. I learned something from each game, but Doom Eternal's like my kid, so that's what I got.
So my answer is very interesting. My favorite game to work on is actually the game I'm working on, Dimensional Double Shift, because not only that is VR, is hand tracking. And one thing about me that's I like to say, I like challenge. A lot of times I think I'm a decent programmer. A lot of things I program are pretty simple for me to program. I can program a 2D game, I can program a 3D game. I never did VR, and I never did hand tracking. And hand tracking is not popular enough to Google. So a lot of it is me just kind of figuring out with my other coworkers, how does it even work? And it was the hardest game I ever worked on in my life, and that's why I love it so much. My life is all about finding challenges, and I get really bored if something's too easy. So yeah, Dimensional Double Shift is my favorite game to work on. Oh, and quickly, I'm a gameplay engineer, so that actually means I do some game design along with my programming, so it's a lot. And that's why I love Dimensional Double Shift. I was able to flex both of those muscles.
VR is very much, let's invent the wheel, because it doesn't exist yet.
For me, I would say that my favorite games I worked on would probably have to be Modern Warfare 2. Just because I got to work on that from pre-development and got to watch all of the pre-development all up until it got sunset. So that was really fun. I also got to look at all the collabs in social media for Modern Warfare 2, which was also really fun. That was kind of the first time I got to intricately see that process and kind of see that I am a part of this industry, and it was really fun.
So this question, very, very relevant in these times. What was the greatest challenge you faced in the games industry? And anyone can start.
I would say the greatest challenge for me has been stability of work. It's really hard as a freelancer to constantly have work throughout like the year. Like some months I might have 3 gigs at once, and some months I might have no gigs. So I think that's finding a full-time job has been really difficult for me. And that's just kind of been an ongoing challenge. It's like the passion is there, but sometimes like financially it's like, does this even make sense to continue doing? And as you know, the games industry has been very volatile, and so finding those full-time roles is very difficult, even for people who have been in the industry for a while. And even entry-level jobs are very difficult to find. So I would say the money.
I also agree about the money, because one thing that I like to be transparent about is that I have a full-time job in a different industry that I do, and I do a lot of my games writing on the side, because with the way the industry is, and because I like having health insurance, because health insurance is expensive, and being able to like know that it's harder than having just one full-time job, because you have to balance both like the responsibilities of both, and if the schedules overlap, like if you have a game launch coming up but you also have a big work project, that's something you're going to have to figure out and work out. But that doesn't mean just because you can't find a full-time job in games that you should just give up on it entirely, even if it's like coding for maybe 10 minutes, maybe an hour a day, just building it up because you never know when the opportunity is going to come your way. So being able to like build yourself so you're ready for whatever comes your way, I think has been one of the most greatest challenges.
I'll say for a person that works hybrid, a lot of our devs are not, but QA at the moment is. So for myself, I have a hard time trying to cut the switch off to stop working. Whether that's at work or at home, it doesn't matter. I still have the same issue. Because I'm always like, oh, well, this person needs help. I feel like I can help get this done so much faster. Not that no one else can, because obviously other people can help too. But if I know it or I know it's right here, I'm like, I guess I can help. And then I find myself there like an hour later, like, what am I doing? Like, I need to go home, or I need to cut this off. And I've even had people tell me, like, what are you still doing online? Like, I've had some of my own coworkers like, hey, can you stop talking? Like, just go chill, go to sleep, something. And so, that's just the biggest issue that I face while being in the industry, is just trying to learn how to relax and just breathe. Like, it'll get handled tomorrow or the next day, but sometimes I just feel like, well, I can get it done now. So that's the hardest thing I've faced.
So the hardest thing I faced is actually not just getting into the industry, but knowing that I'm accepted in the industry. Because there's I had a huge fear of me not being accepted, because I come from corporate America background. So obviously my hair wasn't colored when I was in corporate America, and I asked all these very weird questions when I got into a game studio, like, oh, is it okay if I have colored hair? Y'all cool with me being myself? Y'all cool with the way I talk, dress, and everything? And my HR lady's like, what? Yeah, yes. It's like, go ahead. And I have a hard time knowing that you belong in the game industry, because I've been through mostly corporate America, and I'm from a small town. So it's very much like, do I even belong here? Imposter syndrome hits hard. So, and I even talked to my manager, like, I don't think I'm that good of a programmer as I think I am. And I'm just like, why? You just made a feature. And so it's just sometimes it's good to communicate that sometimes you don't feel accepted, so you get that reassurance that you are accepted. Because, that's probably the biggest challenge I dealt with.
I get that challenge, because I had purple hair for 4 years, and then I got into medical, and purple hair is not okay. And I told them, like, my color of hair does not define how to do my job. Like, this is not right. Stop stereotyping.
I would say that my biggest challenge within the gaming industry was a lack of support due to less knowledge of resources. So I did not meet any of my panelists for about the last 1 to 2 years maybe, and for the first about year and a half of me being in the industry, I knew there were other people of color in the industry. I had no idea where to find them. I am still currently the only Black femme presenting person in my office. So I had no idea where to go, no idea where to look. And I actually went to DreamCon, and that is where I found Black in gaming, and it just kind of spiraled from there. And I feel like if I would have not found those resources, I would not be up here today.
So this is a fun question, what are some of your favorite video games and how do they influence your current work?
So there's a tiny little JRPG called Lunar, which is my favorite video game series of all time. And it influences my current work because it just shows me how much of a world I can help create and how much of a community can be seen and what stories can be told.
So there's a lot of games that influence the current look, so I'll just pick a few. I love heavy aesthetically, like there's a heavy aesthetic to a game, like the game feels like it has a huge identity. So I'll say for right now, my current work, one of my side projects, Deathloop. I adore Deathloop. It's so good because it has an aesthetic and it feels like you feel the identity of the game when you play that game. So a lot of my side projects, I want that witty humor. I want that witty writing, and I do writing on the side, just don't advertise it. But so games like Deathloop made me feel super immersive world. Another game is Assassin's Creed. Like those games made me feel like I'm in a whole different space, and I like this game has an identity. That's what my inspiration is.
I'll make sure Dingo watches this so he can say thank you for that. But for me, I've mentioned I have a wide variety of games that I love. Lately, I've been playing a lot of the Yakuza games. I started at Like a Dragon and then have literally gone back to 0, and now I'm on 6. So bear with me. But it basically all in a year. But yeah, I would say like I've tried to open my eyes to more games. I've played those games. I've played Elden Ring. I've played all the Banjo-Kazooie games, stuff like that. And I just feel like what I get out of each game, it just brings that creativity out of me. I didn't mention it here, but at some point I would like to, at id, go out of QA and go into game dev. So I feel like the more I get from other games, the better. I love our games as well, of course, at id and within ZeniMax as a whole. But yeah, just going and looking at all those different types of games with all that variety is pretty much what influences my work, and for me to know like this is what I could be doing as well if I decide to put it in the game.
Before we jump in really quick, I always have to say QA people are game developers. You are part of the development of the game, so you are a game developer. Yeah. So you are.
So my favorite video game, it's a bit of a deep cut. I don't know, are we any Sly Cooper fans in here? Yes, a few, finally. Maybe we'll finally get another game. But Sly Cooper it's one of the earliest games I played with a close friend who had it, and we'd play through it over and over and over. And one thing I really liked was just how stylized the game is. The developers talked in depth about how they took a lot of inspiration from comics. So they'd have a lot of visual onomatopoeia, a lot of sound effects, a lot of real emphasis on the actions that the players take. So that was a really big emphasis in my work, and seeing how you can take from other media to enhance the experience players have in a game. I also want to shout out Sonic the Hedgehog. You can always make a game better by adding a cool guitar song into it. True. And I also want to do a shameless plug, because in February I will be featured on a podcast called My Perfect Console, where developers talk about the top 5 games they would put on a console that anyone could play. So feel free to check that out.
So I would say that in my narrative work, Hodleful Boyfriend and also Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door.
Golden game, great game.
So happy it got a remake. Both of those games really influenced my writing in that they're very strong character writing, very strong narrative games. And I really love games that present themselves as one thing and then kind of twist that on its head and show you a different side. And in terms of also community, I really love Undertale. Toby Fox is very hands-off with the way that he handles his community, but I really love the way that the community has taken Undertale and it's kind of made it its own thing. There's so many different fan games, community projects, so much music that fans create, and so whenever I work on a game, I try to kind of foster that, encouraging fans to engage with the game in a way that they can kind of make it their own and enjoy the characters in the way that they are, because I'm a fanfic writer, I enjoy fan art, so I always want people to feel like they can engage in that way with our game, and so that's a big part of my work and community management as well.
Okay, so we're gonna switch things up a little bit because we had a few more questions, but we only have 10 minutes left, and I wanted to make sure we got some questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, feel free to walk up to the center, right to this nice fancy mic that I hope is turned on, and then feel free
also, if you have a question for all of us in general or for a specific person, just go ahead and let us know.
Hello. So my question is kind of a two-parter. What would you say is your most favorite memory and least favorite memory being in the industry?
I can start. My first favorite memory, besides watching Sonic 3, was about getting an early screening to see Sonic 3 was definitely when I was first accepted onto Spirit Swap, because going from watching the game go on Kickstarter, getting this big following, hitting all of its milestones, to actually being a part of the team and then seeing how everything works and just seeing all the inner workings of this is how we make the puzzle AI, this is how we work through and go through and make everything work, and seeing it all come together. It's just been an amazing experience. I think my least favorite part has been seeing how the industry has been very quickly turning to AI and laying off a lot of seasoned and experienced developers in favor of a robot that doesn't even really work. And I could ramble about my AI research, but we have 10 minutes, so I'm not. But just knowing that you need to really make the games and all the beloved games that people like you come out here to see and play, you have to invest in the people that make them. So I'm hoping that in the future we're more supportive to our devs, to our dev teams in the wake of things like this and all the layoffs.
I would say one of my favorite memories is it was the first week that Sushi Ben released, and the team was kind of keeping an eye on Twitch and seeing if people were streaming, and we hopped into this, I think it was a German guy, and he was playing, and we didn't understand anything he was saying, but he was having so much fun, and we don't even know what this guy is saying, but he's having a good time playing our game, and that's just awesome. And there's this really fun moment in kind of the first 15 minutes of the game, I won't spoil it, and seeing his reaction to that moment, it was just it was great. It was yeah, this is what we make games for. So that was one of my favorite memories.
I guess for me, it'll be just the reception we get from people when we show stuff. At QuakeCon, we were able to show stuff as well as here, anywhere. When I go somewhere and we show a Doom trailer or something, and just how people look oh my gosh, whoa, more Doom, just stuff like that. Just seeing how people react, comments, live comments. For yesterday, the Dev Direct, I was just reading the comments, trying to see what all was in there. So yeah, just seeing how people respond to the work that we do. That's the greatest thing that I've experienced, or even just being able to be up here and to speak to y'all today. I enjoy doing that and being able to, just help y'all throughout whatever y'all want to do, or just tell y'all my life experience, if anything. And that's kind of I guess it's kind of the same of the worst parts, is just also knowing that we can't please everybody. Everybody's not going to like everything that we do in gaming, and we just got to kind of accept that. So that's kind of the same answer. It's yes and no to that, I guess. But yeah, it's just what the feedback we get from people.
Actually, I was going to come in today and I'm I got to thank Ajae'sha for helping out on a really cool game. Thank you. My favorite memory from being in the gaming industry would probably have to be seeing the community I foster and watching the people that I know succeed in wherever they are. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Adanna, when I saw that Spirit Swap finally had a release date, I was so excited for you because I knew you worked hard on that game. And watching Doom yesterday was also really fun. Seeing your stuff, Valencia as well, is also just seeing all y'all succeed. It's probably like my favorite memory to see all y'all succeed. Worst memories in the gaming industry is probably watching the layoffs. All the last year in 2023 were pretty awful, and I got to see, unfortunately, a lot of very talented people losing their jobs due to how the industry is and how the pandemic definitely halted a lot of different business decisions and things like that, and watching the aftermath of that.
So my favorite game industry memory has nothing to do with my job. So I do talks and panels all the time. So last year, sometime between the last 2 years, I went back to my alumni grad school. I was alumni from undergrad. And I did a whole talk. I was the last speaker at a conference about game dev, and it was a very small conference. It was very, very, very small. And I just talked about game dev the whole entire time. And I was like, cool. And people said they liked it. And I was like, cool. And now last year, I went to the holiday party for Georgia game developers. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. And one of the people from my panel who was in the audience said, Valencia, you changed my whole entire perspective in life. I'm actually getting my master's in games. I've been playtesting games. I really want to do games. And I would never, ever actually done it if I didn't listen to your talk, because I thought the layoffs means I can't be in games. So I try not to cry. I'm trying not to cry now. So that's not the first time that happens. It happens all the time. That's why I do these talks and panels. Usually comes someone later in life that I had no idea was in the audience, comes up to me and be like, you changed my whole life. And I was like, oh my God, I'm trying not to cry. So that's my favorite memory. Least favorite memory was probably, again, the layoffs, but not only it affected me, because I was not laid off, but I'm an alumni leader of people in the industry through the IDA Foundation. So it wasn't like seeing people getting laid off. It's saying, oh, I know that person that got laid off. Oh, I know that person that got laid off. Oh, I know that person very personally. Oh, so that was sad. And all that happened right before GDC, and I had to see them all in person. So that was a very mentally hard time to do all that. But they said even my presence helped. So that's what's good.
Any more questions? I believe we have a couple of minutes left.
We're going to take, we have 5 minutes left, so we're going to take
have a 5-minute
these two
timer.
questions, and then we're going to each give advice what we would give to people trying to break into the industry, but we will be here after answering extra questions, so yeah.
Sure, I have a question about how do you approach the marketing of a game like Take Us North, especially it's clearly going to resonate with a very hot topic, a very controversial topic within the current political climate. So, especially with how the deeply divided politics, with how gamers kind of approach any game that is even slightly, about a topic like that. So, how do you approach marketing that kind of game?
It's been kind of a balancing act, and I think it's something that we're still figuring out. I think that the best thing that we can do and have been doing is telling the story of like why we're telling the story and why we think it's important. And I think the people who it will resonate with it, because we can't force anyone to play the game. We can't force them to change their mind, but we can show them like, hey, this game looks fun, and it might be a topic that might be a little uncomfortable for you, but you can engage with it in a way that's interactive and fun and allows you to step into the shoes of someone to tackle a topic that might not be so fun. It has been tough. I will say that we actually were featured in the Latin American Game Showcase at the Game Awards, and we did have a lot of negative comments. But I think that's just something that comes with the beast of telling a story that matters. And I think that if you don't have anyone saying anything bad about your game, then you might not be doing anything controversial at all. And I think those things are worth doing. I think it's worth doing challenging things. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that.
Any last questions?
Yep, one more.
One more.
And then we'll give our speed advice.
I honestly just wanted to say thank you for being here. You guys have been like so down to earth with all of us, and your experiences are quite relatable. Even though I'm not in video marketing in any sorts or video game development, I've gone through a lot of hardship with job search and so forth. But really, thank you for that. I have a very based question. What is your favorite video game OST? Since you've already covered like your favorite games, soundtracks I think are very important.
It's the Lunar OST. Don't judge me. It's so good.
I'll be playing the Deathloop OST all day, so I love the Deathloop OST.
I'll be honest, just Doom. Our Doom OST, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh man, I'm torn between Sonic Mania and Sonic Unleashed because Mania slaps. If you're going to the T-Lopes concert, you will see me. But Unleashed is just, I've played it for so long. It's just, so good. Actually, I'm more of a Dragon Road Knight type of person, but Skyscraper is fire. They're all good. It's all fire. Play Sonic Unleashed so we can get a remake. Sega, please.
I'd say it's probably the RPG Maker horror game Omori, if anyone played it. Either that or Undertale. Like, both of those have been in my Spotify Wrapped both the last 2 years, so.
Okay, we have 1 minute remaining, so we're going to do rapid fire advice to people in the industry, starting from that end.
Make connections. Connections are great. Also, game jams if you either want to get your hand dirty or focus on your skills.
Repeating what she said, make connections. Game developers are really cool and down to earth. They're not as scary as you think they are. Talk to them.
We don't bite.
We don't bite.
Yeah, same. I'll say the same, but I'll say a little bit more. I mean, joining groups like or doing game jams, like they said, like I think Pirate Software is one that you could do game jams, but also talk to people. I'm in Black and Gaming as well, though I've been a little inactive. I ain't gonna say that out loud too loud, but yeah, stuff like that. Just joining groups where you could find them online and networking. LinkedIn is a great spot, and if you want to contact me, feel free. My contact information, I could always give it after.
My advice, building up on networking, but also don't reject yourself when you're applying for anything because you don't know what the companies are looking for. They have their list of requirements, but they also have their own internal list of requirements, which you might be a perfect match for, but you don't know. So don't self-reject yourself. Let them tell you what you need to improve on instead of immediately counting yourself out.
I'll say don't wait if you want to make a game. The first game that I made was with my girlfriend, and we had never made a game before. We did a game jam and made it in like 3 days, and it was an RPG Maker, so no coding required. If you have a story in your mind and you want to make it, you can find plenty of solutions to make games. And don't be afraid of jumping in, because like there's so many tutorials out there. Don't get stuck in tutorial hell. Just go and make a game. Make that thing that you're thinking of doing, or if it's not a game, write that thing or do that art piece that you've been waiting to do, because there's never going to be the best time to do that. You're never going to have more time, so just do the thing that you want to do.
Okay, that has been Boons and Gaines. Thank you so much for coming out. So glad to see so many people here. I'll also do another shameless plug because tomorrow at 11 a.m., me and Myleah will be doing another panel because Black and Gaming is announcing the start of its DMV chapter. So we will be doing different events, hopefully more things at MAGFest. So come through because we want ideas from you just to know what does the community need, what do they want, and it's open to everyone. You don't have to be a games professional, whether you're a student, a hobbyist, or just a fan of games. Just come through. Have fun.
Thank you all again for coming
Also,
in.
there are all our socials right there. If you want to take a picture of it and add us later, those are all our socials.